Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting of July 28th, 2026. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members present, excuse me, and establishing a quorum are council members Fulcher, Beaumont, Hanford, Walker, Gamble, Fisher, and Blair.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item of business is public comments. This is a limited opportunity for people to speak to the council during this council meeting. Pursuant to council rules of procedure, oral public comment is limited to in-person comment only and must comply with the standards set forth in the council rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Information on where to send written comments is on tonight's agenda and on the screen. Clerk, were there any written comments received for tonight's meeting?
There were, and all were forwarded to City Council.
Thank you. The first person signed up is Hank Wirtz. So please state your name, area of residence or association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Like you say, my name is Hank Wirtz. I'm a resident of the Farm neighborhood here in Monroe. And I'm here just to talk about the upcoming new business on the agenda as far as deciding on regulations or rules regarding e-bikes. And I think that that's a very positive thing. Both the bikes themselves and getting regulations around that. But we do need to have a distinction in the definitions of what we're talking about. The e-bikes, there's a state definition, class 1, class 2, class 3 e-bikes, requiring that they be pedal assisted. And what we're seeing a lot of, and what I think really needs the emphasis on, are the e-motorcycles, that we're seeing so many teens and preteens riding illegally in our neighborhoods. They cannot be made street legal. They're too young to get licenses for them and endorsements. And there needs to be a greater emphasis on enforcing the state laws that exist. I think the state laws are sufficient. I think there needs to be an emphasis on enforcement of those laws. I witness a lot of irresponsible use of those e-motorcycles in my neighborhood, a lot of speeding. Country Crescent, I'm seeing the speed limit is 25, and I'm seeing kids probably 12, 13, 14 doing wheelies up around 35, 40 miles an hour on a street that the speed limit is 25, and people are walking their dogs, crossing the street, and that sort of thing. I've had a few close calls myself. And I've called the 911 non-emergency line when I have witnessed that behavior. So haven't really heard any feedback from the police or the sheriff's office to those calls. And I imagine that probably the kids, when they see me pull out my phone, when they're behaving that way, they probably head home at that point. So I think we need to focus on education through both the schools, educating both the kids and the parents as far as what's legal, what's not, and social media and maybe a mailer in the water bills or something like that. But the police really need to be taking seriously the unlicensed and illegal use of the electric motorcycles. I don't have a problem with the class 1, class 2, 3 e-bikes. They're not powerful enough to really cause a lot of damage to themselves or bystanders, but we need to focus on safety, both of them and the bystanders. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Julie Brumbaugh. So if you could state your name and association within the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
I'm Julie Brumbaugh, and I'm from the Frylands area, and I'd like to talk about e-bikes. I'm a regular at Lord Hill, a regular mountain biker, and at first I didn't like e-bikes. I had no idea what they were about, and some friends of mine allowed me to ride theirs, and these are Class 1 bikes. And then I understood, and I found out that if you ride within your abilities and be safe, there's no problem. It's just like riding a non-e-bike. And if people, follow safety rules, I don't ride in the city, but people, and I think everybody needs a helmet. And I think maybe for the people who ride in the city, maybe some kind of education classes might be of importance. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you all.
Thank you. Next person signed up, I can't quite read the name. Nason, if you can state your name and your association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Eddie Nasankla. I live in the subdivision called Monroe Woodlands, which was annexed into the city of Monroe a few years ago. I'm grateful that the other gentleman clarified the differentiation between e-bikes and e-motorcycles, and that's my concern here today. I've actually brought pictures from my community of various young adults and kids riding their e-motorcycles in the community. Many of them have been riding at extreme speeds. The posted speed limit in the area is 25 miles an hour. We already have problems with adults driving double the speed limits because our area is pretty much away from the main city itself, so law enforcement presence isn't very high up there. So having these young adults speeding through the area in their e-motorcycles along with speeding cars is not a good combination. In addition to that, just as an example, the other day, my wife and I were walking our 3 dogs on the sidewalk, all leashed, and a young kid in an e-motorcycle decided to ride up on us on the sidewalk and push us away. We had to actually walk onto a neighbor's lawn with our dogs, which you can imagine with 3 dogs is not exactly an easy thing to do with the leashes getting crossed. But this child did not even want to wait or show any respect to us, just literally punched through, which is obviously dangerous because our dogs could react to that. The photos that I have here also show, more importantly, the damage that is coming from these children. We have various trails that run through a native growth protective area. The HOA owns this property, it is private property, and we have put up signs that say no motor vehicles allowed. However, the children still ride through and damage the trails, not to mention the trees that are in there because you can see the roots get exposed to the tires that rip up the actual roots. The other thing is that we have kids doing donuts on gravel roads, throwing and spraying the gravel everywhere, which obviously is a nuisance for cleanup and so forth. But I think one of my biggest concerns is that our trails also go on hillsides. And those hillsides, we already have problems with water runoff that kind of eats and cause ruts within the trails itself. So it can be a little bit dangerous as we're walking down these, especially during winter. However, these e-motorcycles are actually ripping up the gravel and any water mitigation that we put on the trails and causing it to be very dangerous because now the gravel is loose, and as you walk down these trails, you can slip and hurt yourself. That is a problem because this is private property, and if in the event that anybody gets hurt, it is now up to the members of our HOA community to deal with the consequences of perhaps the damages that these children are causing. So anyways, I'm at time, but I'm happy to leave these photographs with anyone if they want to see them, and thank you for your time.
We can give those to the clerk. Thank you. Thank you. Next person signed up is Mo Candid. Thank you. If you can state your name and your area of association within the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
It's Mo Kadan. I'm here with my son Ali Kadan as well. So we have a business here in Monroe. We moved to Monroe like 6 months ago, right on 147th Street, right next to Monroe School District. So we moved from Woodinville, and then we started the process of the negotiation with the previous owner of the building. We bought the building. The whole building is 51,000 square feet. We started the process late on 2023, and during that process, it looks like the zoning has changed. We did not complete the transaction till late 25. And we are in the dietary supplements business. We own 3 companies. We package the stuff over here in Monroe. We love the city. We love everything about here. It's clean, everything. We love it over here. But we bought the building thinking that we're gonna open a gym in 15,000 square feet of the building. That to complement the business we are in, dietary supplements, which is one of the companies called FX Subs. Then, I believe, like a couple of months ago, we met with. We didn't meet, but we know Jordan and Kim. We know them for a while. They have very strong background in running fitness centers, stuff like that, and they could be potential partner with us. But they reach out to the city, and it sounds like the zoning has changed, and we cannot open a gym in the industrial area anymore. So it was like shock for us, and this, trust me, this is one of the reasons that we bought that building. It's 51,000 square feet. We don't need that much if we can open the gym. So we currently occupy 21,000, and we're looking to open a gym, like a top quality. It would be great for the city. It's not anything like a commercial gym and those gyms that I will have Jordan and Kim talk about that after me. But this way we are here, hoping that we can do something together. I think this is why we are here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person signed up is Kimberly Hubbard. If you can state your name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Keep saying climber.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Hubbard. I'm here also with Mo and Ali Kadan. My husband, Jordan, behind me, hopefully he'll get his own separate 3 minutes.
Yes,
the hope.
he does.
Awesome, thank you. So exactly with what Mo said, we are here because we are interested in opening up a fitness facility in the industrial area. So as you said, the zoning, or whether it's the code amendment or the ordinance, I really don't know the exact terms, but our desire is, yes, to open up a gym. I have been in the fitness industry for about 10 years, collectively over 20 with my husband and I. Although we are current Bothell residents, we did start here in Monroe, so it feels very full circle to come back and to have this amazing business opportunity to open up a fitness center here in Monroe. Our son Kendrick is here, he's 6. When I was pregnant, we were living in Monroe. We loved it, life took us outside of it, and so here we find ourselves again. Our desire is I really don't want to pitch our gym, is what I don't want to do here, and I definitely don't want to present a major complaint, although yes, there is something that we absolutely need change to make this happen. But our desire is just to build the community that we once were a part of. When Thrive was here, and I actually believe we remember seeing you at Thrive, we really enjoyed that community, and if anyone's a part of a gym, it really is more than just a box with machines. I actually met my husband at the gym. We've built our entire life. We have a small business now that's now been operating for, again, about 10 years. We opened up a fitness center just a couple years ago, and we've run a coaching business out of a gym as independent contractors. So this really is a great opportunity for us. I do believe that it would be a great asset to the community, whether it's pouring into the youth. Having small groups at our gym is a big thing that we like to do. My husband especially, I think, is gifted at just bringing young men together and even mentoring them. I have that same desire for women, and we do that in our community now. But of course, we want to do it in Monroe. So we really hope that something could change and that we can build that here. So thank you.
Thank you. And then Jordan, if you want to step up, and you've got 3 minutes, and state your name and association with the city.
So my name is Jordan Hubbard. We're currently residing in Bothell, but as she stated, previous resident of Monroe. I was here for about 6 years, worked at Canyon Creek for about 8. So I know what it is to live in this community. It's just so much different than, Bothell, Seattle, anything outside. And I'm from a small town, so I always kind of was like drawn to Monroe. And so when I was part of Thrive with Shane, he was kind of like the first, he actually got me started, and that's where I kind of started my fitness journey, went to become a professional bodybuilder. And so it would be like a full circle moment. So I thought it was really cool that there was presented this opportunity to open a space in Monroe. And even knowing that there's other gyms here, I think what we're gonna bring is gonna be something far different. because I know what it is to have an owner of a gym that's actually takes pride in their gym and like cares for their people. And I think that's what separates the box gyms from, you know, these private owned gyms. It's community, it's culture, and I just think that when the people are put first, it's going to thrive and it's going to grow. As soon as you feel like you're just a number, that's when people stop sticking around. And so that's where our heart is. I feel like we've been called to do that. We're believers, we're Christian, and we just think that we're supposed to be here to serve people. I think that that's, you know, the best thing you can do. And so I think it would just be, this is a great place to do it. So this is just our hopes, you know, so that's what we got. So thank you.
Thank you. And council will have staff reach out to the Hubbards to look at the zoning. Okay. Yep. So there is no one else signed up for tonight. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? Yeah, come on up and state your name and your association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ryan Schlemmer, and my association of the city is I live here in the Frylands neighborhood. So the purpose of what I want to talk about tonight is a follow-up to the last couple weeks regarding fireworks, in specific in the Frylands, but in Monroe in general. And I wanted to kind of respond to some of the conversation we had last week. In specific, one of the items came from Officer Jolly, who mentioned that it's basically impossible for them to enforce the laws on the books. Mr. Gamble had mentioned a couple weeks back, we need to just focus on the laws on the books and enforcing them. And the police officers described they can't do that. And the reason is because fireworks are legal. It's really impossible to know what was ignited after it was ignited. So if they show up to somebody's home and they're lighting off illegal mortars, and as they pull up, they close the trunk that they're keeping those in, or, you know, they're pulling them out one by one out of their garage or whatever, because they know the drill. They just have no way to do anything about it because fireworks are legal. So they have to ask them, did you light off anything illegal? And of course the answer is no. So they give them a warning and they leave, which is why we have so many years of year after year, no arrests, no citations, no fines, and just an increasingly bad problem. There was comment that the problem seems to be getting better. The information campaign is working, which is, I mean, the testimony of the people here is saying quite the opposite. It's in fact getting worse. When I moved here 20 years ago, it really was just the 4th of July, and that's what a lot of people, it's just the 4th of July, it's one day. It used to be, but now it's, 20 plus weeks of football season, plus the 3 weeks surrounding the 4th of July, plus the New Year's holiday and such like that. Something that moved a lot of the council was a John Adams quote. Well, fireworks stands weren't a thing when he wrote that. Neither were the suburbs. He was talking about the town square, getting people to come together as a city, which is kind of what I'm asking for. Let's do a city event, right? He was talking about church bells ringing and, it's like the town coming together for parade and things like that, which is what we're asking for. So I think that, while there are best intentions to try to find a middle ground, the police are telling us there kind of isn't one. And so I ask that you guys kind of consider the practicalities of some of the platitudes that get kind of proposed here in the council. Thanks.
Thank you. Come on up if you want to do, are you both going to speak or one at a? You can both stand up there and take turns if you want. So if you can state your name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer.
My name is Madden. We just wanted to talk about the e-bike complaints and stuff. We were thinking like that. I mean, it's a good community and it brings a lot of people together and stuff, and like keeps kids out of their house and like off electronics, and there's good people in it. But I mean, we get like the complaints you're getting about like other riders, like, you know, kind of not respecting people's properties and stuff. And we were just like talking about it and like making like a better, safer space to ride for all of us to like come together as like an e-bike and like bike community, and just like it helps people stay out of trouble. And like, I mean, there are some people that like kind of disrespect what you guys have to say and stuff, but I mean, we're good kids. Like, it's keeping us off the out of houses, and like, I don't know, just like try with like a good place to ride. And I mean, we're all good kids. That's kind of what I want to say. But thank you.
Thank you. Come on up and state your name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer.
I'm Carson Smith, and I'm here to talk about the e-bikes as well. So a couple days ago, I was riding my e-bike, and one of my friends was with me as well, and we got posted on Facebook, and we weren't doing anything like out of the ordinary or anything. We just were crossing the road at the moment, and this person on Facebook was talking about how we were riding like inappropriately and reckless when we were not at all or anything. And it's just kind of annoying that like sometimes when I'm going down the road and stuff, people like flip me off or something, or think that I'm a bad kid just because I have an e-bike. And on the Facebook post, it said that the parents should talk to the kids about their e-bikes and stuff, and the parents should think about like why they bought the kid the e-bike. And my parents don't like e-bikes at all. I bought my own e-bike, and I bought everything for it and stuff. And like, I get why everyone gets mad if they see us on the road or on the sidewalk and stuff, and how it can be a problem. But we used to ride at this place, you guys might know, like dirt jumps, the bicycle jumps, the dump jumps, whatever they used to be called. And we've been riding there for the past like 3 to 4 years, I would say. And a couple months ago recently, this guy came up there named Ryan Abrigo, came up there and like said that we had to get out, and started yelling at us, calling us bad words and stuff that probably shouldn't be said to kids, especially. And so we really just haven't been going up there ever since. And then we came back like 3 months ago around, I would say, and all the jumps were gone. And he said if he sees us up there again, like bad stuff would happen. And I think that we wouldn't have to deal with people like him or like all these other people that get pretty angry at e-bikes in general if we had like our own environment and stuff to ride our bikes and not like get yelled at or anything. And I agree with everyone saying like about the e-bikes, about how they're bad and stuff, but I've been riding dirt bikes for the past like 5 to 6 years, and so I know my way around like the bikes and around the streets and stuff pretty well. And yeah, I'm just here to say that we're not all reckless, bad people, and that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay. Well, thank you, young adults, for coming in and speaking. It's important you're part of the process, so thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, the public comments portion of the meeting is now closed. The next item on the agenda is presentation of a proclamation recognizing Purple Heart Day. So recognizing August 7th, 2026 as Purple Heart Day. Whereas on August 7th, 1782, George Washington established the Badge of the Military Merit, which was the first medal authorized for enlisted soldiers in the Continental Army to recognize a singularly meritorious action by a soldier. And whereas on February 22nd, 1932, U.S. Army Chief of Staff Douglas MacArthur established the Purple Heart Award in the spirit of the Badge of the Military Merit in honor of George Washington's bicentennial birthday, and authorized the award for soldiers in the United States Army for soldiers who are wounded or lose their lives in military action, and August 7th is annually recognized as Purple Heart Day. And whereas in 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt expanded the Purple Heart Award to other branches of the United States military by authorizing the Navy Department to award the Purple Heart Day to personnel wounded or killed in action, beginning with the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. And today, the Purple Heart is authorized for people serving in all branches of the United States military who are wounded or lose their lives in military actions. And whereas following the attack of at Pearl Harbor, until the day she passed away, Eleanor Roosevelt carried in her wallet a piece of paper with the following written upon it: "Dear Lord, lest I continue in my complacent ways, help me to remember that somewhere someone died for me today. And if there be a war, help me to remember to ask, am I worth dying for?" And in our own daily walk, we should always remember those serving and their families and honor their service and their sacrifices in our words, hearts, and actions. And whereas the Ward Roney Jr. Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 7511, which represents and advocates for veterans in the community of Monroe, requested the city of Monroe declare itself a Purple Heart City. And whereas on December 7th, 2021, Monroe Mayor and City Council passed a jointly issued proclamation declaring City of Monroe as a Purple Heart City, and since 2014, August 7th, has been a day to honor and remember people wounded and who have lost their lives in action and in service to our country. And whereas the flying of the Purple Heart flag on the City of Monroe's municipal campus symbolizing remembering and honoring Purple Heart Award recipients. Now, therefore, I, Patsy Cuddeback, Mayor of the City of Monroe, Washington, do hereby recognize and proclaim August 7th, 2026 as Purple Heart Day, and authorize and direct the flying of the Purple Heart flag, at the City of Monroe's municipal campus from August 3rd, 2026 to August 10th, 2026, and encourage residents, employers, and visitors to commit themselves in our community to remembering and honoring recipients of the Purple Heart Award in our words, hearts, and actions. Thank you. And if you would like to step up here, we'd like to present this, and council, come on down and we can take a photo. Liam, you already got up here. What happened? Yeah, he's prepared. Look at that. The next item on the agenda is Board Commission appointments with Liam McCorkle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Before you tonight is a confirmation of the Mayor's appointment of Lindsay Gannon to a midterm vacancy on the Community Human Services Advisory Board. Mayor did receive 2 applications for 2 vacancies. One of the applicants withdrew their application, so we will still have 1 remaining vacancy if Lindsay is confirmed tonight. So with that, I will hand it back to the Mayor.
Council, any questions? Okay, there's a requested action for this item. Is there a motion? Oh, actually, sorry, before you do that, he was reaching for his flag. Lindsay, would you like to come up? Say a few words? Yeah.
Hi, council members. I'm Lindsay Gagnon. I have been the proud resident of Monroe for 6 years now, and I previously served on the Human Services Advisory Board a few years ago. Took some time off to grow my family and adjust to a new role. I'm currently the executive director for Interfaith Family Shelter, and so I'm hopeful that I get the opportunity to rejoin the board and contribute to this community with volunteer service in this way. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So there's Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're coming back. That's great. That's great to see you. Really, appreciate stepping forward and, wanting to serve. You did a great job before too. So I'm glad you're back. Family's grown. That's outstanding. Congratulations. I'm gonna make a motion to move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Lindsay Gagnon to a midterm vacancy on Community Human Services Advisory Board, position 1, with a term ending December 31st, 2029.
Second, Fulcher. Thank you. There has been a motion made by Councilmember Gamble and seconded by Councilmember Fulcher. Any other comments, discussions, Council? Councilmember Walker.
Thank you very much for serving.
Thank you. All right. Councilmember Fisher.
So yeah, thanks again. I remember you from HPAC. Super awesome committee put together. I think that we actually collectively put a lot of things in motion to make our community better. So I really appreciate you volunteering for this and look forward to seeing what comes of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you. Yeah, Lindsay's no stranger to human services in Monroe, so thank you for coming back and serving again.
Great. Okay. Okay, there is a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Thank you. 7-0. Motion passes. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
The next item is item 6.1, post-adoption hearing for ordinance number 007-2026, interim gyms in the downtown. Please note that the rules and procedures that apply to this hearing are available in the agenda packet and on the city website. To summarize, after the hearing is open, city staff will present a staff report, and council members may ask questions for clarification of staff or wait until another time. For the record, I'm informing all parties interested in these proceedings that the city clerk has forwarded to the city council all timely written or otherwise recordable comments that have been submitted regarding the subject matter of this public hearing. The public hearing is now open. Mr. Bailey, please provide the staff report for this public hearing.
Thank you. Now we're on. Thank you, Mayor, members, council. Before you this evening is the post-adoption hearing for the interim ordinance that allowed gyms as a permitted use in the downtown historic main zone. Just a little bit of background. On June 23rd, staff brought the interim ordinance to council. Council did approve it that evening. And as you may recall from some other interim ordinances that we've done, as a part of state law, we're required to hold a hearing within 60 days of the decision from council. So that's what we're here to do tonight. This hearing is about taking public testimony. Council has already made the decision. The ordinance would be in effect for 6 months, which takes us through January 1st of 2027. Staff will be bringing back a code amendment to potentially make this a permanent ordinance, and so we will be talking about this again. But for this evening, we're really just taking public testimony on the ordinance that you approved on June 23rd. There was no changes in the ordinance from that meeting. So with that, I will conclude my staff report, and anyone has any questions. I don't know if we had anybody signed up to make comment.
That's my job, Lance.
Okay.
Council questions, comments? Councilmember Fisher?
Yeah, I kind of surfed around our website a bit, and I couldn't find the actual definition of a boutique gym. I don't know if you know that offhand, or
I
I'm sure
don't.
you
But
can
I can
surf it
look
much
it up
quicker than
I can
can.
actually look it up very quickly, because believe it or not, I
I
actually have
figured.
definitions up here, because I was looking up indoor recreational facilities based on the previous comments. I know that it's in an odd place, so give me a moment.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologize for asking a question.
Well, I kind of feel like I asked for a definition. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I knew that you would come up with it really easily.
Oh,
So
I get paid to be
much
put on the
easier
spot.
than me as I was surfing around trying to find the definition.
Okay, boutique gym, it actually is under B. I can just read it out to you. A small, between 800 square feet and 3,500 square feet, facility where fitness enthusiasts can focus primarily on one or two types of physical exercise or workouts. So the differentiation between this and, say, Gold's Gym, for example, would be the size. So it has to be a minimum of 800 and no more than 35. Then no more than 3,500 square feet.
Awesome, thank you. As we talked about this earlier, I'm not in favor of it. I think when I picture our downtown, I picture boutique gift shops. I picture boutique retail, artisan bagel shops. I don't envision somebody saying, hey, let's go down to downtown Monroe, learn how to fight, and go work out at 4 different gyms. It's just not how I picture our downtown. I think I made that clear last, but just to put it out there again, this isn't how I picture our main street. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Council, any other comments, questions for Mr. Bailey? I don't think there is anyone sign up. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak during this public hearing? Okay, seeing no one else needing to speak, this is the conclusion of the public hearing. Are there any objections to closing the hearing? Okay, seeing none, the hearing is now closed. There's no requested action tonight. Councilmember Hanford.
I was going to move on.
Move to move on? There's. Oh, boy, you're already getting ahead. Wow. No, that's fine. Councilmember Walker, did you have a question or comment on? Okay, you're jumping ahead too. Yeah, look at you guys. Okay, the next item of business is the consent agenda. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Okay. Councilmember Walker.
I'd like to make an alternative motion, I believe is the proper way to do it. Move to approve the consent agenda as provided in the packet, removing 7.5, item 7.5 for discussion.
It's actually a motion to amend the
Oh,
motion.
perfect.
Yeah.
Just need a second to amend it.
Is there a second to amend the motion? Second. I'm sorry, who was that? Beaumont? Okay. So it's appropriate to vote on that motion? Okay. Any other comments, questions by council? Okay, so there's a motion on the table approving consent agenda without item 7.5. Motion was made by Councilmember Walker, seconded by Councilmember Beaumont. All those in favor? Oh, to amend.
In the future, we can just remove something from the consent before.
Right, and not amend it.
But we can do a vote on the motion to amend right now.
Okay, so we are doing a vote on the motion to amend to remove 7.5 from the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-2. Okay. Councilmember Walker, will you state your concerns or address questions?
Yeah, thank you.
What? Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, so we're back to the consent agenda. Okay. And the original motion was made by Councilmember Hanford, seconded by Councilmember Fisher to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. I'll get it. I'll get it one of these days. All right. Councilmember Walker, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. On this ordinance, I know this is for the second reading. I had expected after our last conversation that the second reading would include a discussion. So that's why I wanted to remove it from the consent agenda. I wanted to see if we could consider an ordinance that, or modifying this so that it was limited to the promenade only. I was hoping to get council feedback on any potential interest on that, with the reasoning again being that if the spirit of the original ordinance was to improve the appearance of the downtown, if that was the spirit, then for it to extend beyond the downtown into residential areas, that's kind of going against what the purpose of the ordinance was. If there is a new appetite to do this as a way to inspire housing, I think that should be a conversation on its own. So yeah, love to hear from others.
Councilmember Fulcher, did you have your flag up first? Okay, Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you, Mayor. I also am interested in making it so it is the promenade only. I feel like that's where we need the growth. That's when we talk about downtown growth, we talk about it's the heart of the city, la, la, la. That is really what I think of is the businesses downtown on the promenade. That would be an interest of mine also.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Blair.
After our last conversation on this, I actually am in support of leaving it just how it is. I think it has done what we wanted. There are businesses and the housing that have gone in outside of the promenade that maybe would not have without this, and that was the purpose of it. The downtown promenade cannot survive by itself. It needs to have that growth around the outside areas. I thought we had talked a lot about it last time. I am in favor of leaving it as is.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councilmember Blair. That was the original intent. We actually had it more restricted, and then it was that conversation we had, which was a long time ago, like 10 years ago when we first started it, and it was the whole concept of, it's supporting the promenade, it's the walkability concept, it's, drawing it a little bit, bigger, and when you look at the data, it's like, hey, that's doing it. And the fee waiver of the 183 for the one development that we learned that they wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the, that fee waiver we made back within the first year, and then we've made quite a millions since then from that support, and now that's operationalized into the budget. That's not just a one-time fee. That it's in the operating budget. So I'm still for keeping it.
Thank you, Councilmember Hanford.
Thank
and
you,
then
Mayor.
Beaumont.
I concur with Councilmember Blair with her comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you. I concur with Council Members Walker and Fulcher in that I think it should be limited to promenade only. Thank you.
Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, here we go. Tiebreaker. I believe it should be restricted to the promenade. We have two big developments that went in over there. I think that happened because of this, and now we've kind of reached that point. We've got two apartment buildings that are over there, River's Edge, and the new one that's being built. I think that we've filled that ticket, and now it's time to concentrate on just the promenade.
Councilmember Walker, did you want to make a motion?
Yeah, if a motion is necessary, I'd love to propose an alternative ordinance. But yeah, I would appreciate any advice on
Proper language?
Yeah, Robert's rules.
Yeah. Yeah, to redraft the ordinance.
Because I think it's more than just changing the title.
It,
Yeah.
it is.
Change all the other things
Yeah.
there about it.
Okay.
So, Attorney Lowe perhaps can help us. I think the biggest concern is probably that we don't have a meeting scheduled until September 15th.
Yeah.
The current ordinance expires August 2nd, so there's already going to be a 3-day lapse in the fee waiver, which we're not too concerned about. But if council gives us direction to change it, then there will be a 1 month plus
Gap.
potentially.
Councilmember Blair.
At our last conversation with this also, I thought we had all kind of had a consensus that we thought this could change, but that we wanted to have this next year to go over how we wanted to change it. And for now, we were all fine with just leaving it as is. So I wanted to remind everyone of that part of our conversation last meeting.
Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, last year, I remember this kind of coming in, squeezing in and shoehorning it in kind of the same way that we're doing now. And we said the exact same thing. So whether there's a gap or not, for me, it's unfortunate for the timing, but I would still want to move forward with just the promenade.
Okay. Councilmember Fulcher.
Last week, my decision was between voting no or voting yes, knowing that the promenade would be my preference.
Okay. Councilmember Beaumont.
I concur with Councilmember Fulcher. I felt a bit boxed in with my vote. Didn't really feel like I was voting my intent, and sort of felt like there was no other way. I also would like to remind council that we have budget constraints this year that we did not have last year, and this is money that we potentially are putting back into the city. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the budget one. That's one of the reasons why I'm for it, is because the financials show that there's actually more money for the budget than the waiving of the fees. That's just the numbers. But I get it, and that's what, I think the appropriate thing to do, it's either it's no motion at all or a motion and it fails, and then it comes back with, if you guys want to bring something back, then it comes back. That's the way it would be. So I'm going to make a motion. And then the ground know this is how this is going to go, but then we'll know, we'll have the record, because this won't be on there. So that is the approve ordinance number 008-2026, extending for an additional 1-year period the temporary elimination of fees for certain permits associated with development in the downtown area, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Is there a second? Yeah, for a second. Okay, there's a motion on the table to approve ordinance number 008-2026, extending for an additional 1-year period the temporary elimination of fees for certain permits associated with development in the downtown area, providing for severability and establishing of an effective date. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. I wanted to put on record for the vote. Again, I think that this is not meant to be a housing ordinance. The idea that it was the single reason for the developments that did go in, I don't think has been validated. I think it was more of an idea that was thrown around during the last discussion. So I don't know if we should kind of lean on that as the reasoning. So again, going to vote against this because I think it's kind of unfair as well to the rest of the city, the rest of the homeowners. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Just to speak to that, I mean, I get what you're saying, Councilmember Walker, but the validation is, so I'm taking the data from the director that said that was the sole reason. So If that is not accurate, then I want to know that too. So to your point, if that is, but the validation was from city staff. So if you're saying that that is not the truth, then we probably all should know that, because all of us are in alignment with the city staff saying, we know for a fact, that's on the record, that that was the reason for the development. So if that's not the case, I want to know that too. So to your point.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You raise your hand on that? Yeah, hands up. So 3. All those opposed say no. Raise your hand. Okay, motion fails 3 to 4.
All right.
Councilmember Walker, would you like us to have the city attorney draft a motion? Jody, city clerk, can we have them work on that? Yeah. Oh, okay, so when we bring that back in September?
Yeah.
Okay,
Staff
okay.
can work on doing a new ordinance.
For September?
That is council's direction.
Okay. That seems to be council's direction. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business, 8.1, authorize a new pay range classification for human resources manager. Mr. Wortham, will you introduce this item?
Hi. Thank you, Mayor. Council, good evening. The City of Monroe's Human Resource Division is currently staffed with 2 positions, an HR analyst and an HR coordinator. This structure was originally designed to operate under an HR director, who now sits up here with you, who historically provided programmatic oversight, daily operational leadership, and high-level decision-making for HR and IT. In June of 2026, I obviously moved up here, assuming the role of interim city administrator, leaving that director position vacant for the foreseeable future. Without that leadership level classification in the division, key managerial responsibilities have shifted to the HR analyst. So my request tonight is to create an HR manager role. I'm trying to figure out the best place for the analyst who's not really doing director level work, but is definitely doing higher level work than an HR analyst. This is a budget neutral position, as my position is still vacant, so it's not going to cost the city any more money. We're going to be using existing salary savings. Take any questions.
Councilmember Beaumont.
I don't have any questions, but I would like to move to authorize staff to prepare an amendment to the city's adopted salary schedule to authorize a new pay range classification and job description for human resources manager.
Thank you. Okay, motion has been made by Councilmember Beaumont and seconded by Councilmember Fulcher to authorize staff to prepare an amendment to the city's adopted salary schedule to authorize a new pay range, classification, and job description for human resources manager. Any other discussions, council? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 8.2, electric bicycle regulations. Mr. McCorkle, will you introduce this item? I expected you to be up there already.
I'm sorry.
He does.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, Council. For many of you, you have received this presentation before, so apologies. I did add a presentation, so you have nice pictures and visuals to look at this time, but it is essentially the same exact content. With that said, tonight we are going to be talking about electric bicycles. Like I said, this has already been reviewed by both the P3 committee and Public Safety Committee, but was requested to be brought back to the full council for additional discussion. So just going over the table of contents, we're going to start by looking at some state regulations. We will then look at recent legislation, really comparing the difference between e-bikes and e-motorcycles. I'll briefly touch on e-scooters, and then we will go into regulation options, a recap of some of the previous discussions that were held by P3 and Public Safety, and then requested action, which ultimately is going to be a discussion of this council. Council also requested that this item be brought back in September at a meeting where our police department is present, so they can provide their own input as well. Next slide, please. So, starting with state regulations, there are really 5 things we could be talking about when we talk about e-bikes. There are 3 classes, so there's class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 1 e-bikes are able to go up to 20 miles per hour pedal assisted. Class 2 e-bikes are able to go up to 20 miles per hour with a throttle only. Both Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes are regulated pretty similarly. All of them can go just about anywhere that a regular bike can, and there are no regulations as to minimum age requirements. The only restrictions on Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes is they cannot utilize non-motorized paths that are specifically designated to be non-motorized. Class 3 e-bikes is where we see a little bit more regulation. Those are vehicles that are able to go up to 28 miles per hour while pedaling. And those vehicles must have a minimum age of 16 years old, and they can only be ridden on bike lanes and sidewalks only in circumstances where there is no other safe alternative. So Class 3 e-bikes are regulated a bit different. E-scooters, not going to focus too much on. I have a slide later. The City of Monroe already regulates it through its Monroe Municipal Code, Chapter, I believe, 10.18. I'll touch on that a little bit later. And then finally, e-motorcycles, which via state definitions is probably the least well-defined of all 5 of those that you see on your screen. At best, e-motorcycles can be defined as anything that an e-bike is not. Typically, we can say that they don't have pedals, although sometimes they do. Typically, their motors will exceed 20 or 28 miles per hour, depending on what class you're talking about. And then in almost all cases, their motor output exceeds 750 watts. When you talk about e-motorcycles, they are regulated the exact same way you would regulate a regular motorcycle. So you have to be the age of 16, you have to have licensing, you have to have registration for your vehicle, and then you have to adhere to the same requirements that a motorcycle would. So you have to use it on roads, obey the speed limits, you have to have a helmet, you have to have safety equipment, lights, all of that. Next slide, please. So with that, I put a visual up there that goes over the classes. I think that does a much better job than just sharing kind of a block of text, so you can pretty easily distinguish between Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 with their max speeds and which ones are pedal-assisted versus throttle, as well as a couple of examples there on the left on what those bikes can look like. Although, as you might be able to see, a lot of them look very similar. Next slide. So with that said, there has been recent state legislation. In the previous legislative session, the Washington State Legislature passed Senate Bill 6110, which did a couple of things, but in effect, it was primarily dealing between distinguishing e-bikes from e-motorcycles. And most relevant to this conversation is it specifically designated and clarified the definition of e-bikes as excluding any vehicle that is capable of exceeding 20 miles per hour solely on its electric motor. In effect, what this means is that it categorized any electric type cycle or electric type device that was capable of exceeding 20 miles per hour via its throttle alone as an e-motorcycle, and thus would restrict any minors under the age of 16 from riding those devices. The piece of legislation went further to convene a group to look into the definition of an e-motorcycle and to better define what an e-motorcycle is, as well as prepare some recommendations surrounding additional regulations that should be had around e-motorcycles to the state legislature. So that is to say, I would expect more legislation to come out and more discussion to be had in the 2027 legislative session. Still work to be done, but it is something that council should be aware of when we're discussing the definitions and distinguishing between e-bikes and e-motorcycles. Next slide, please. So e-scooters, don't want to focus too much on this, namely because it is something we already regulate, but since they are often grouped in these conversations around e-bikes, I do want council to be aware that we do already have a code in our Monroe Municipal Code that regulates e-bikes. That is Chapter 10.18. It designates certain operating standards, so riders are not authorized to operate e-scooters on roads that have a speed limit of greater than 25 miles per hour. It also sets certain requirements to the speed limits, whether you're using it in a city park, sidewalk, or on a city street. It requires and essentially restricts them from being able to be used at night. You must wear a helmet if you're using an e-scooter. And then it sets a quasi-age limit where if you are under the age of 10, you must be accompanied by an adult. And then it sets a violation and a penalty where you could be liable to a traffic infraction and a $250 penalty if you violate any of any of that ordinance. So with that said, just wanted council to be very clear that we do already have something that regulates e-scooters. None of that is applied onto e-bikes at the moment. Next slide. Oh.
Councilmember Hanford.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Really quick, I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So it could be on Main Street here, because that speed limit is 25 miles per hour. But it can't go more than 15 miles per hour on the 25 mile per hour road.
Correct. I do believe that the way our code is written is not what I would call the most clear code that we have. But according to our current code, yes, you can go on a street that is 25 miles per hour, but the speed limit for that e-scooter is only 15 miles per hour.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Blair.
I just want to mention, and also the scooters don't have a speedometer. So this is up to the own person to figure out how fast they're going.
Thank you. Continue.
Next slide, please. So with that, there are a number of additional regulation options that the city can provide. State law is actually pretty clear in saying that state law does not preempt more restrictive regulations that the city might want to employ when it comes to e-bicycles. So we see across every city a wide range of different regulation options that have been employed. Just going through the list, there's parking regulations. The council could decide to restrict where e-bikes are authorized to be parked. You can set certain location and use regulations, so you can restrict them to being used, restrict their use on city sidewalks or in city parks. You can also restrict the times where they're allowed to be used, so you could restrict their use at night. You could also set speed limits, as has been done with e-scooters. There's also helmet regulations that you can consider, requiring that operators of e-bikes wear the appropriate helmets. You can set additional age regulations, especially for those Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes. And then you can also assess fines and penalties. Namely, those come in two mechanisms. One is setting a fine. A lot of cities set a very small fine, noting that the primary violators of these ordinances are children and those under the age of 18. Typically, those fines range from $25 to $50. The city can also consider the potential of impounding or authorizing the police to impound devices for individuals who are violating any other regulation that the city decides to issue. That comes with its own legal and enforcement considerations that the PD will need to weigh in on, and it is something we would need to look more into, but it is an option that other cities have employed. And then the final one, which is not really a regulation, and is rather just a program, is education, and is focusing in on that educational aspect of communicating with the school district, working with Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue to put out a slew of education materials. And this is something we have already been working on. We've been developing a flyer. We plan to cooperate, and we are cooperating with Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue to put out a number of videos to inform the public on what the regulations surrounding e-bikes are currently. The police department has also been working with Surfer on putting on a bike rodeo, which I believe will have free helmet fittings and will help inform kids who bring their bikes to National Night Out to understand these regulations that are in place. So all of that is in the works, and we are appreciating our partnership with Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue as we work on continuing our education campaign. Next slide, please. So with that, I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed because this has been something that has been brought to 2 of our council committees. It was brought to P3 first on June 23rd. Following that meeting, after they received essentially the same presentation I just gave, they discussed the potential of looking into requiring helmets for e-bikes, requiring illumination. This is something that is already required in state law for bicycles. However, we could make it even more explicit in our state code. They were interested in looking at the possibility of authorizing the police department to impound devices, and also either requiring as a condition of riding an e-bike or as a condition of releasing a bike from impound to have the violators take an online e-bike safety course. And then the final piece that was mentioned in P3 was looking into enhanced signage in our city parks. That was then relegated to the Public Safety Committee on July 14th, where the police department was present and provided their own presentation as well. And at the conclusion of that meeting, that committee recommended that we continue our focus on simply education and communication surrounding e-bikes. And then obviously last meeting, it was requested in council reports to bring this item back to the full council, which is where we are now. Next slide, please. So with that, the requested action is just discussion only. As I mentioned at the previous city council meeting, council provided their intent to bring this item back in September, where the police department will also be present. I will mention that if council is considering passing any sort of ordinance that places restrictions on e-bikes, it would be helpful if you provided that direction to the mayor and staff tonight, so that way we can work through August to prepare something physical for council to review in September. So with that, I will hand it back to the mayor.
Thank you. Questions? Councilmember Blair.
Just no questions for Liam, just wanted to start the discussion. This has been a topic that I have really dove into the last couple months. I've been noticing the increase. I'm fully supportive of anything that is pro e-bikes. Getting kids out and engaging in their community, doing activities that is not on an electronics, I think is what we've been asking of this younger generation, and now they're doing it, and now we're finding ways to try to limit and restrict, and I'm not in favor of that. And I do think that a little bit of what that boy had mentioned earlier, they're getting a hard time. People are harassing the e-bike kids, are not letting them cross streets, are blaming every type of interaction with a vehicle on these e-bikes, and I think that they don't have a voice to advocate for themselves, so we don't hear their complaints like we heard just a little bit tonight. So I want to make sure that we're trying to stay balanced. This conversation reminds me a lot of our fireworks conversation. We have 2 or more groups of people that all have different wants in this situation. We have the drivers and the pedestrians and the e-bikes. And when I say e-bike, I do even mean the motorcycles. To me, anyone who's out going under 20 miles an hour, wearing a helmet, not harassing pedestrians and following the regular street regulations should be allowed to ride. They are part of the multimodal transportation that we've been trying to encourage. They're the way of the future. You see Lime bikes, scooters all over in big cities. Monroe's a family city. We are lucky that we have kids that are able to ride around and feel safe here. It's maybe too soon, but there was just a 15-year-old that was involved in a shooting in downtown Seattle yesterday. We have 15-year-olds that are begging us to find them a place to ride e-bikes. So I think assume positive intention, and I believe that the Washington State Share the Road program and Together We Get There program fully supports us integrating e-bikes and e-motorcycles into our already pedestrian cars and regular bicycles. So I want to support this, not regulate.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
No, I appreciate the comments, Councilmember Blair. The irony is, I was having this discussion with a resident. I was on my walk today, and there was a couple, but one was well, now I know the term, the moto one, and then one was a traditional, more traditional e-bike, and 2 kids that flying through the neighborhood or whatever. I don't know how fast they're going. That's the other thing, is that people, they were flying. Man, you must be really good unless you have a radar gun. It's really hard to determine. It's like that commercial where the older person is walking and sees the red car and it stopped and yells at it to slow down because red cars look fast. I'm not saying that's, but there is a little bit of that, as well. But the irony is that I was talking with one of them. He's a neighbor in the farm, and he was like, "Gosh dang it, they're just flying through here." And I said to him, I said, "Oh, come on." I go, "Were we doing anything different?" I go, "The only difference is that we couldn't do it on a flat surface. We had to build that. But we were trying to find the nearest hill, and, we were going, the only difference is we put a jump, like a plywood jump, on the thing too." I'm not advocating by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that there is a component of this that I look at, like, we do need to be responsible. There is, stuff that we need to do. But also, I am very much for, like, we've got a generation that all they do is sit in front of computers. It's going to be even more in AI, and the last thing I want to do is make it even more of a deterrent for them to get outside and do stuff. And I look at what we've done in the past, and we had issues with skateboards, and like, what did we do? We created a space. I mean, the comments were great. It was like, we created a space, a skate park that now is the envy of a lot, around. In the 80s, I don't know if you remember, where I lived over in the Wenatchee area, we had a BMX bike track. We city, put one in, and that was like the biggest thing since sliced bread. The dump jumps and everything that was referenced to. Like, I get it. I never did it, but that was, and so maybe that's something we should be looking into. Is there something that we can, partner, whether it's with the county or the city, where they can go? I mean, we're acquiring this big piece of property, in Cadman property. Maybe we can put some sort of, track in. I don't know. Obviously, there's legal ramifications on that. But I'm very much interested on, how can we work with, because it is another form of transportation for individuals. It is something that gets kids off the couch and off the friggin' Xbox. And we've got a great park system, and we've got more areas that we can activate. I would be very much interested in looking at what are some of the options that we could, potentially do to provide a spot where kids could do this. So my 2 cents.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, you said you had 2 cents. I've got a whole sheet here, so you might get 10 cents. You might get 10 cents out of me. I was going to start at the top with just a $250 penalty in the traffic infraction. Like, how does that work for a kid that doesn't have a license, and actually trying to get that, and then the parents saying, well, he's 12, I'm not paying that. We kind of went through that. So I would like to see that adjustment even with scooters, and kind of make everything a little bit more consistent between all of the E-type bikes and scooters. Next thing is helmets. I would love to see a city ordinance that requires everybody to wear helmets. Traumatic brain injuries are life-changing, life-altering, not only just for the person that's experienced the injury, but also for the family, for resources from the city level all the way to the state level. So I would love to see a helmet law here. Miles per hour for scooters. I know, Liam, you did not want to get stuck on the scooter thing, but that's just where I started, unfortunately. The 25 mile an hour and 15 mile an hour, and then no speedometer on there. We should probably look at that again on the scooters and just make sure that that's actually is something that people can understand when they're out there. I feel like we've been down this road a little bit before with the side-by-side rules. Having them on streets, anything 35 miles an hour or below within the city. I think with the e-motorcycles, there is something probably there that we could probably grab out of that ordinance and hopefully kind of make that work a little bit. Licenses are probably, I think that was state law, right? That they have to, over 750 watts, it has to be a licensed and a motorcycle license, right? Correct. Endorsement. I'm not sure those kids were of driving age. They didn't look like they were of driving age. Are they 16? So they could actually get their motorcycle endorsement. So I would encourage that. Again, that's kind of the education part of it. I kind of remember this from back in the day when snowboarding came out. And everybody wanted to kick the snowboarders off of the ski hills. I was one of those snowboarders. I was the young kid that said "dude" too much, I think is what I heard. Obviously things have changed. I'm a little grayer now, but I feel like we've been down this road before, and we can find a happy medium as we kind of work our way through this. I agree. I don't want to take away this outlet for our kids in the community. I think that we definitely have to put some rules around it. The Cadman property is a great idea. There's not even a lot of improvement. They're motorcycles. If they go out there, there's a huge area, not that I've ever walked out there because it would be trespassing, but from the Google map, it looks like there's a huge area that they could just ride around. And we wouldn't have to do a whole lot of park infrastructure for that. And these kids probably would probably go out there and make something themselves if we would just kind of let them volunteer and do that. Probably catch some stuff over this one, but there is a park that we have that needs to be activated more, and that is Al Borland. There is a ton of trails that go through there. And again, these kids would probably do a lot of that work. It would give them a space to go down there and ride these things. Obviously, we have to be good human beings. They have to be considerate of walkers. Walkers have to be considerate of them. We also have gone down this path before with shared paths with mountain biking. I remember when that all started too. Be cautious of downhill mountain bikes when people were hiking up, but it was very well posted and people knew what the rules were. And I think if we could do something like that through Alborland and activate that park a little bit more, I think that might be a good idea if we look through it. I really appreciate our partnership with Surfer, with the fire department, and being willing to put together a rodeo and do education. And then if we don't allow them in the other parks, then we have to start thinking about a place where people can park them because they're going to ride them there. So I want to see kids riding to Lake Ty and swimming in Lake Ty, paddleboarding in Lake Ty, fishing in Lake Ty, and doing all those things. I don't want to discourage them from going there, but maybe riding, 25 miles an hour around the lake is probably not appropriate. Again, I think we could probably work with that. We could probably put a line down the middle and have a pedestrian side and a bike side. And hopefully people would kind of follow those rules. I love the e-bike route idea. I'm a little biased because I think I came up with it, so. But I love the e-bike route where we could put a map together and highlight areas where we feel people would be traveling down the safest corridors of our city on these e-bikes and e-motos. And Councilmember Fulcher actually had an awesome idea with that, is put a little, I think it would be a blue sign for information with a QR code. So it says e-route, and then there's a QR code that goes straight to an educational online program. I think that would be amazing. Anything we do, people still have to be safe. You had mentioned the shooting down in Seattle. On July 7th, there was a 14-year-old that was killed from head trauma riding his e-bike in an actual park. So it was the I-5 park that was underneath. So we can't make a bunch of rules to make everything so safe. It's not what we would want to do. We want people to just be good human beings. Before you brought up the Cadman property, I was like, gosh, it sounds like it might be a great spot for the 12.6 acres that we have over here in the middle of town that the school district owns. And then our partnership with the school district and really getting this pushing this education out there and having some rules that the kids will abide by. I'm in favor of the impound, and to get it out of impound, you have to take the online class. It gives, I think, the police department a little bit of teeth just in case they need it. And I think that's my whole 10 cents. You might have got a quarter out of that, so thank you.
It's worth $1. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a really, really important topic for me. Those kids that came in tonight actually met in Carnation this weekend. I was out riding on the bike trail, and they have a pump track out there paid for by Remlinger that's really fantastic. And they were jumping so high I couldn't even believe it. And my own son, when we moved to Monroe, the skate park was pretty new, and I remember calling Mike Farrell and saying, how come he can't ride his BMX bike in the skate park? It was only for skateboards. And we went round and round about it, and after a couple of years, they okayed BMX bikes in there. But I'm a boy mom, my son still rides dirt bikes. I care very much about this, and I care very much about getting youth out from screens and all of that, just like we've been talking about. So I watched these kids. They came up to me and asked if they were bothering me, and I said, not at all. I'm in awe of your skills. They took off their helmets and we started talking. And I found out there were probably 6 of them. Half of them live here in Monroe, and they all showed up. I said, come talk to us. Tell us what you need. And they said, the dump jumps have been destroyed and we can't ride there anymore. We want a place to ride. And I thought, well, let's create a place to ride for them. It's really important. And so I love all these ideas. The Cadman property is fantastic. We might be able to get somebody to donate a way to create a dump jumps type park for them, but I think that we need to encourage them, not penalize them, and this is here, and we're not going to change it. So we have to create pathways. We have to make sure that they can get to school safely. We want to encourage them and work with this group. There's also some issues going on at Lake Ty, and so I sort of dug around and did a lot of sleuthing over the last couple weeks, and the city of Black Diamond has its own ordinance, and Everett's just adopted a new one. It's been in the news a lot, and they don't allow any of this on their sidewalks, pedestrian paths, or park trails. I like the idea of Al Berlin. I think that's awesome. The Lake Ty path is problematic, and I really think that we should limit use there because there's a lot of people that are scared of, I think they're scared. They've talked to me about it, about seeing these bikes coming around the path when they're there with their kids and they have strollers and there are even people with walkers on that path, and I don't think that's an appropriate place for any of these vehicles to be. But I love this idea of developing something for the students and young people that are riding. The pump track, again, I think would be great. We built a skate park. Why couldn't we do something like that? I do think we need to get our signage up in the parks, and I would like to hear more from the riders. So, I know that I'm one of these people that likes to bring the community in. Sometimes that's not the most efficient way of getting things done. I think this deserves a community meeting. I think we need to pull everybody together and at least have a night where everybody can come in and share and talk about ideas. And that way we're diffusing a lot of this. It's very similar to fireworks, where we have people that are totally against it, people that are totally for it, and then some in the middle. And I think if we could create some kind of a think tank or a way of bringing everybody together to talk about it, it might help. So my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you. As someone who chooses a method of transportation that only is 100 miles to the gallon, I love finding other ways to get around. And this is not just for kids. I know 2 adults who use theirs a lot, 3. And it's to eliminate use of cars. And so, of course, they already know the rules of the road, so it's a bit different. But I also have my laundry list. The 16 plus endorsement concept is great, but I would say we are able to add more to that. And I would say we add insurance. It only costs $200 a year to have insurance on a motorcycle. And it makes a world of difference when you damage something. We require it of other drivers. Why not require it of moto drivers? I am warming to the idea of a park situation for the kids, because before I was like not in parks, but now I'm saying I would love a place that is a certain set aside place, like you were saying, for kids to have fun in. But I also think that means that we get some zones that we don't have to worry about them. I think that absolutely asking for people to walk their bikes in a park at Lake Ty is not too much. If they're there just for the lake, what is that, 1/10 of a mile from the road to the lake? It's not bad. Yes, it's great that you drove over there, but give some respect to the people who are enjoying their walks. We do need more bike lanes. It's kind of my intention as a downtown person that if it's less than a mile, I'm walking there, I'm riding my scooter, I'm not getting in my car. And I have noticed that we do not have enough bike lanes. And so I would love to see some more things happen. Obviously, that includes the e-routes that Councilmember Fisher and I spoke about with the QR codes. And if we're going to encourage people to do this, we have to give them a place to do it. Some of the public comment talked about the damage being done to private trails around here, private lands. I am really sorry to hear that. That's disrespectful. The kids even said some people are just disrespectful, and they are going to disrespect the rules no matter what. Those are the people that I'm tired of. Same with the fireworks, some people ruin it for other people. So it's like we're putting the lid down on everything because some bozos just don't know how to follow the rules. So this is another, as Councilmember Blair said, this is a very similar situation. Maybe a designated spot would help to reroute the bikers that do want to have fun. Pro education on this, peer pressure, you know, hey dude, don't do that. We don't do that. You know, Monroe was nice enough to provide a space for us. Why are we breaking the rules? You know, I think there's a lot of potential in this. We are in an age where we need more than cars. It's hard to park your car downtown. Well, maybe it's easier to park your e-bike.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford or Walker, before I go back to Councilmember Fisher, do either of you have comments? Councilmember Walker?
Thank you. I wanted to come into tonight totally undecided. We've got a lot of the same concerns that many of us do on both sides of the issue. Walking Lake Ty often with kids and also having lots of friends and family there. You can't have those people that are going way too fast and very concerned about the potential for injury, for TBIs, whether that be to the rider or to the child that gets hit or the senior that gets hit. It terrifies me. And I think that this is definitely worth the conversation to figure out how we can mitigate those risks. The testimony from both the citizens and the young men that came in was pretty compelling. So I've got a high school age sister, and I've seen the way that electric scooters have kind of been an awesome part of her and her friend group's summer or socialization, especially around our town, because it is pretty friendly to that kind of thing because the speed limits are low. That is a huge benefit, is that it does get them out of the house. It really does. And I think that in terms of parks, I am so interested in the idea of expansions or improvements, new additions. I'm for it, increasing the park's capital budget in whatever way possible, especially for something like that, or seeking donations, things like the way that the skate park itself, I think a lot of it came with the help of Cadman. I'm sure that there are people in our community who would be willing to help out with such a positive thing for our young people. So agree with the helmet requirement. I think that is a hugely important. When it comes to kind of punitive stuff for when the rules are broken, I think we should go heavy on community service as well, because money might be an issue, but I feel like every young person could probably get their hands a little dirty for the city, and I think that'd be pretty cool, and they'd learn their lesson from it, and it wouldn't put too much weight on their parents. The impounding, I think, is a good idea as well, but I'm still interested to hear more from Councilmember Hanford and Fisher, and thank you guys all for your contribution.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm similar to you, Councilmember Walker. I came into this somewhat open-minded and trying to just get my head around it. I've experienced a couple different things because I do walk Lake Ty almost daily, and I have friends that are a little older than me that have bought the bikes where you have to pedal a little bit to get it going. So that keeps them active, and the couple bought them together, and so now they have something active to do together, and so that's great. And so that's the one side, and then the other side was the other day as I'm walking down the path and I see an elderly lady walking towards me, and I'm walking fast and she's walking slow, and just as I'm about to pass her, someone on something, I don't even remember what it was, I just was so shocked, flew by me on my left, cut the elderly lady off right, and went straight ahead of me. So she was just like And fortunately, she was fine, and nobody was hurt, but I was just like, this is really irritating. And then also, a separate scenario, I'm walking this way, and another person's coming this way, and these kids on scooters go flying up behind, and just as they're going past the elderly person walking towards me, go boo! And she just jumps, and it's like, come on, people. Like, and that's going back to the bozo comment, right? So all this, and then I see these kids, and they want somewhere to go ride their stuff. And so I totally in agreement with, I think, what everyone is saying tonight. I want to see parks where we can create space for them to go do that, and heavily promote that. Say, go ride them here, get around, get out and do that. At Lake Ty, that's not a good spot for you to be. And just make it plain as day, so that there's no question, and just the whole, it's really, yeah, I want to see them. I love seeing them here. I love seeing them active, and I want to see that for sure. So I agree with what everyone said.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Thank you for all the input. Thank you for the residents coming in. I think as we start to kind of compare these to both fireworks and e-bikes and e-motorcycles, I feel like the really easy thing to do is just to ban things. Just say, we can't have any more of that stuff. I love the approach that we are taking. It's going to take a little bit more time, but actually getting input from people and trying to figure out the best way to take care of this problem and not taking the easy way out of just banning everything. I wish that we could just make people nice and not say boo to the elderly person that's walking there. Unfortunately, we can't even do that with people that are in vehicles, right? And encounter that, probably all of us daily. So it's just kind of calling the Monroe residents to just be considerate. I mean, truly just be considerate. Follow the rules that are already there until we get some more that are in place that will hopefully work for everybody. I love the community service thing. After they take the safety class, then they can ride their e-things to community service assignment. So I think that would be great. So my main point was, I think that it's really easy to make a ban. I like that everybody is discussing this to actually work through the problem and come up with a good solution instead of just saying no more of anything. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Blair and then Councilmember Gamble.
I wanted to say, Liam, the flyer that you guys have tailored, changed, upgraded, I think is a lot more readable. Like for my type of reading, I'm finding the way that you have it set up, it catches your eye on different things, and I think people will actually read it. I do have one question on it. It says on the first page, it's like ride with traffic. There's a little bubble there, and it says do not cross highway ramps as it's dangerous. And I just don't understand what that exactly means. Maybe if we could look at that one sentence. My questions for you, though, are we're not going to meet again before school starts or before National Night Out. So can you tell us what the plans are for the education on both of those two upcoming events?
Yes, I can try. A lot of that is coming from the police department, so I can reach out to him and have him follow up with council on anything I miss. My understanding is we've been working with our communication consultants to create 3 very short form videos, and those will start being spaced out within, honestly, probably next week. We will primarily be looking at advertising at National Night Out. So we will be working with, like I said, Surfer to do that bike rodeo. That's really our core in-person kind of training that we will be undertaking. We're also working with Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue to film a slightly longer video that kind of goes into more depth into all the things we will be doing. So we were working on scheduling the filming of that video, and that will be coming out. And then once the school starts up again, we will be once again connecting with especially the middle schools to see if we can get into both their newsletters, their parent newsletters, as well as potentially doing an assembly or something of that sort.
Great. And when you say the videos, is that TikTok and Facebook Reels videos?
We do not have TikTok, to my understanding, so it would probably be Instagram and Facebook Reels.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
I remember the other part. When I was out for my walk, I noticed and it's not in any of the definitions on this, I missed it somewhere. There was two specifically. The motorized skateboards. And the one I saw today, it was really cool. But I mean, he was flying, but it was cool. I mean, it looked like it almost looked like one of those ones on the water, like the e-foil type of deal. It was really cool. But I know that whatever we do from an E thing, we would want to make sure that we capture the totality. Otherwise, we're going to get immediately, well, why can't? And it's not anywhere in the definition. And the other one is the one wheel, because I do see that around town quite a bit, and those things fly. Those are cool too. Just I'm a motorsports guy, but yeah, those two things were not in our definitions that we would most definitely want to make sure that they're there.
I think part of the challenge, especially for the one wheel, is that there simply is no definition or regulation surrounding those. So we can, of course, put out recommendations and our safety tips, but there is literally no concrete definition in state law.
Yeah, I think from the standpoint, if we were going to discuss like no, motorized or electrical, that it just would be, from my perspective, making sure that we're calling it out. Yeah, I get that there's no state definition, but the definition of, 25 miles an hour or more, or that type, you definitely could apply it to that, because those things, I mean, I've seen one go down through, it happens every night. I don't know if, everybody's seen it. You can line up and watch. He's got a helmet on and backpack, and he looks like Rocket Man on a one wheel. But yeah, I get it. What we got to do, at least if we're going to restrict in certain areas, we would want to make sure and call those specifically out. I think that was it.
Okay. Councilmember Beaumont.
I just had one last comment about this whole topic before we move on, and that is that I also appreciate everyone working collaboratively on a solution and not divisively saying those kids are doing things they shouldn't do, they're bad kids, they're not. And those young men that came in tonight were just over and over again talking to me on Sunday about, we're getting treated like people think we're bad kids. We're not bad kids. We get good grades in school and all of that. And I think that's a really important distinction here, is that we come together as a community and work together to make sure people walking around Lake Ty are not threatened by some of this behavior, and that the kids that are out riding the bikes also don't feel vilified. I think it's really, really important, and it's a once in a moment in time where we can lead the charge here and show leadership as a community and as a council in saying, we recognize this is going on, this is how we're going to handle it, and we're going to talk to everybody and collaboratively work on a solution, and I really like that. Thank you.
Amen.
Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. Liam, did you say that there's not currently a requirement for helmets?
There is not, at least not for e-bikes, no.
Okay. I would very much be in favor of us doing an ordinance, at least that requiring for all scooters and bikes. Be interested to hear if others are.
Okay. So Liam, do you feel like you have enough direction? And it sounded like, and I'll just kind of try to reiterate here and you guys correct me, but it sounds like most of you want a little bit of regulation, possibly around Lake Ty and around certain trails, right? Helmets might be something we want to bring back and enforce that. Interested in looking at areas in the city where we can provide a space for this type of activity, possibly looking at more bike paths too, and ways to make sure that we encourage getting around the community, but some amount of regulation, especially around the trails in Lake Ty, as you mentioned, and helmets. Was there anything else? Maybe insurance. There was a couple other one-offs there that probably Liam caught, but anything else major on those that I missed? Councilmember Blair.
the signs that we kind of
Definitely.
want to get
Mhm.
moving on
Yeah.
so that people know where they can and can't use these things.
Yeah, I think once we come back in September and have the police department report a little bit more and then come up with maybe an ordinance, and the signage would follow, right? Councilmember Walker?
Less fines, more community service. I don't know if others are interested. Oh, I'm sorry. Less fines, more community service, if others are in favor.
Yep, thank you.
Councilmember Walker, I think that's better when the police department's here
Yeah.
because there's an age restriction in which we cannot fine people or children. So I just want to, I think it's best when the chief's here to answer all of those questions around
Enforcement,
impounding and,
yeah.
ticketing, community service specifically. So I think if we could table all those, and I can let the chief know when he's back that he'll be on the hook when he comes back.
Bless you.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. So next item is council member reports. Councilmember Beaumont. Yeah, start with you. I'm going to be switching it around, you guys. Stay on your toes.
I'm on now, okay. Since we are not going to be meeting for at least a month, I did want to mention a program. I've been meaning to mention this all along, and some of you are already aware of it. But several of us up here, Councilmember Walker and Fulcher, and I think everybody's kind of aware that I've been trying to get a Future Leaders Academy established at Monroe High School for this coming fall. And we've gone ahead and done that. We've got approval from admin up there and 2 teachers, Mark, hopefully I'll pronounce his name correctly, Potashnik, help Jake, okay, Potashnik, and Scott Darrow, who teach civics and major world problems or modern world problems. Those are the 2 classes we're going to be going into. And typically, Nate Nearing and Jared Mead have been teaching these classes for the past 2 years at Jackson High School in Marysville. This year, they both have some big things coming up in their lives, and they're going to come in for the very first class in September, but this would be a monthly class in these 2 classes. So it would be teaching, 6 classes in a day, and it's all about their Building Bridges 2.0. So they're teaching civil discourse, they're teaching, how 2 people can feel completely opposite on a topic, sit down and come to some kind of common ground, and it's really a fantastic program that I think most of you are familiar with. If you're not, I can send out an email and share some more details about it. So Jared and Nate are not going to be as involved as they have been at these past 2 high school endeavors. So we are looking for council and maybe members of city staff to come into some of these classes and teach or talk with these students about some of these really important topics. And looking forward to that. The first class starts in September. It will be ongoing monthly until June. And one of the highlights of this program is the classes go to Olympia in February during session. And it's just really exciting. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware that that's going on. I can provide more details, and I hope you'll all support us in doing this really important work that I think is going to be a wonderful thing for Monroe High School students. Other than that, I just wanted to mention that the Monroe Historical Society, for the first time in about 25 years, has a rental space right on Main Street that is available for rent. And it's where Monroe Trading Company used to be. We had an antiques dealer in there for many, many years, and we've cleaned it up and renovated it, and it's lovely. And so it is for rent right now. We've had several inquiries, but I'm really excited about driving some business down to that end of Maine and creating some foot traffic down there. And, we've got 5 more bronze plaques ordered for some of our historic buildings, and so trying to get something going down there. So if you know anyone that's looking for 700 square feet of office space right on Main Street, let me know. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
I don't know how to follow that. Let's see. I don't have anything to rent, but I did attend the Snohomish Waste Advisory Committee meeting last week, and nothing major to report from that this time. Looking forward to the National Night Out, participating there, and the parade with all of you, and it's always one of my one of the most favorite memories I have with other council members is lining up the cars and being able to do that together. So that's going to be exciting. And then attending the parade appreciation dinner with you and with spouses or whoever. And yeah, just looking forward to a nice August break. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Blair.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Gosh, I really want to report something. I don't have anything for rent, but I have a ton of stuff for sale. Everything's for sale if the price is right? No, what is it called? The Leaders Academy that you were just talking? Yeah, what a neat thing. So we'll have to be in contact, kind of hem and haw about it, because things start getting so busy, because I still have 2 teenagers in school and going to Monroe High School and all of these things. But I love the fact that you're involved in this. And I think that Councilmember Walker is also involved in it, correct? And what a great thing. And hopefully we are an example up here of talking about how we can feel about different things and still have a good, calm conversation and shake each other's hands or hug each other when we get up here and say hi to each other, knowing that we still have some different views on things. So thank you so much for doing that. It's super, super important. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, well, thank you for letting me take my birthday off last Tuesday.
We sang happy birthday
you sang
for
happy
you.
birthday for me. I was able to attend, so one of the things I try to do is on my birthdays, go see wherever my daughter's at and performing, and that she was at the, they have music in the park over in Coeur d'Alene. And it was cool because it was really cool to see how a different city does it and a lot of similarities. You know, they, in all the things they do, it was very well attended as well. The food trucks and the garden. And so we're definitely, on the right track with what we have for sure, because I mean, that is, the Nashville of the Pacific Northwest, as they like to, which, man, I tell you what, now with all of the live music and the different band, you can walk through and hear it and all that kind of stuff. But it was really cool. I appreciate being able to do that. But I did want to picture Lake Ty instead of Coeur d'Alene there. So, trying to tell my daughter she needs to come to Music in the Park in Monroe, so I don't have to drive all the way to Coeur d'Alene. But it was a ton of fun. But I did miss out on the fireworks, discussion. The one thing we did discuss it before the week prior when I was here, and I did want to make sure because it was brought up during public comment too. My comments specifically around I want to have a discussion around. From my perspective, it's 2 separate issues. It's if you're talking about the fireworks themselves, and then there's the illegal discharge of fireworks, which we hear a ton about, and it was brought up again today about Seahawks games and just the operating out. And so what I am really interested in, and that was the ask previously, is what tools do we have in our toolbox, additional things that we can do, more teeth, because it's in our code. It's it's a gross, you could even be up to a gross misdemeanor, $5,000, a year in jail, that sort of thing, if it's putting anything in extreme harm or negligence or that sort of thing. But I truly feel like we are missing the boat on that somewhere, because we hear that comment all the time that it's just widely accepted. Well, we can do something about that. Illegal discharge, discharge of fireworks outside the area is illegal, even if they're quote unquote legal fireworks. If they discharge them outside of the hours that they're supposed to be discharging them, that's illegal. It's on our books. So if we're not enforcing it, I want to have that discussion. What's the why? Right? Can we do something with our community? What is it that we can do to help? And I think that would, potentially help with that, because when you start looking, the other conversation we had in there is that we've got to figure that out, because even if you wanted to quote unquote ban fireworks, anyway, every piece of data that we've looked at, and I swear we've studied this all 15 years I've been up here. So there's a lot of data that we've consumed, and we've looked at cities that have banned it, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or just recently. They still deal with, and in most cases, in larger calls, the illegal discharge of fireworks. So we've got to figure it out. We can't so that's where I'm saying we got to figure that out first before we go the other way. So I wasn't here to make those comments, so I'm taking liberty within my report. Anyway, I'm looking forward to all things August. Again, I'm not sure if I can make the parade this year. It lands on my anniversary, and my wife and I circle that date on a regular basis. But I'm going to try to make the dinner and the concert. That looks like a ton of fun. Anyway, that's it. Looking forward to August.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you. Those people shall henceforth be referred to as the bozos. Got it. Okay. All right. Let's get my glasses on so we can do this. First of all, kudos for the future leader thing. I'm very excited about that. I just expect, yeah, but you guys are so good at just getting involved in young kids' lives, but just thinking forward, and I appreciate what you do. As Jason said, all the Monroe stuff, the National Night Out, the parade, the fair, the dinner, all the stuff we get to look forward to. It's so much fun. It's like our one good month of weather, and then we get to spend it outside. So yay, Monroe. Also, I don't have a building for rent, but I do have 2 candidates coming to my place of business tomorrow at 9:30, Mike Steele, and then at 6 p.m., Adam James, if you want a chance to meet any of the people who are contending against each other. It just happened to be the same day, so that's fun. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you very much. Big report tonight. Future Leaders Academy #1, that is, whatever success comes from that is so much owed to Councilmember Beaumont. She has spearheaded it. She's taken up the initiative. She's organized it with the teachers. It's incredible how much work she's already put into it. So whatever fruit that bears, which I assume is going to be a lot, you deserve the credit for. So thank you for that. Night Out, I am not going to be here because I'm actually going to be in Coeur d'Alene. We do an annual trip out there. Our family's gone there for like 15 years, and it is a beautiful city. So I try to learn every year about their parks and their systems. And I mean, it's not Monroe, but it's close. So anyways, yeah, the parade, looking forward to that. I just want to express gratitude to Speedway for their involvement in the parade every year. They're a very important business to Monroe, and the fact that they do that is very much appreciated and recognized. With regard to National Night Out, our police and fire has had to deal with some tough situations I guess yesterday, and I just again want to recognize their strength and courage through that difficulty or those difficult situations. I want to give a occasional shout out to Kyle, because he continues every week to go and pick up trash in city parks, and it's like a lot of trash. It's unbelievable. So hopefully that gets him on a plaque soon. And then lastly, update from the PSRC exec board. Got a presentation last week on data for the region. Population growth has slowed down a lot in accompaniment of jobs and other important figures for the area. There's a lot of, I don't want to say stagnation, but things have slowed down. So hopefully those trends will reverse, but it was pretty interesting stuff that's worth knowing and considering for future budgets or planning in case those trends carry on. Do want to say well done to Public Works and the mayor and the city administrator for the grant that PSRC awarded the city for the North Kelsey overlay. I know that's going to be a big project. Looking forward to it. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys very much. And thank you to the community for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you, council. Next item is staff department reports. So Ms. Elsom, finance report.
Good evening, council and mayor. I don't have anything new to report, but I would like to just reiterate kind of what I've been coming and saying at every council meeting where we do our monthly financial report. There are revenues that are coming in under budget, particularly development-related revenues as well as interest earnings. There is revenues offsetting those that are coming in over budget, and decreases in expenditures where directors and managers are really watching discretionary spending. So with the revenues that are coming in over and the expenditures that are coming in under, we are still anticipated to be on target and within our budget authority at this time. And I will come back in September with an update. So thank you.
Thank you. Next report is Sparks report. Mr. Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Stepping in for Director Teague tonight. Just looking at June, we, kind of in our bread and butter season as far as mowing, line trimming, irrigation repairs, and adjustments to that irrigation. Looking at notable tasks that we had completed was the prepping of the end caps and the planting of 1,700 Easy Wave flag mix petunias. With that, we wanted to give a special thanks this month to the Monroe High School students who helped us grow those plants. Not sure how much you're aware of that program, but they take the plugs that we purchase and transfer them to 4-inch pots, and they maintain those for the course of a month and a half to 2 months, growing those and watering them and managing or checking them over for pests and disease, and applying plant biology concepts in a real world setting where they can see the beautification of Monroe. That partnership is spearheaded by Lindsay Butcher with the Monroe School District. She's a teacher, plant biology teacher there, and she is really what helps us make that system, that program work. As far as events over the course of the month, Miracle League wrapped up another successful season. They had 115 participants, which was one of the most they've had. Monroe Pride returned on June 14th to Sky River Park for another successful year, and the Ham Radio Field Day was on the 27th and 28th of June, and that is ran by the amateur radio group of volunteer emergency responders. They serve the community in other events like the Lake Tide Try and the Lake Tide Challenge. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike, I just wanted to thank you for trimming the trees that are right out in front of Frylands Elementary, that border Frylands Boulevard, because the walkway, those were getting really low. And
I heard.
So, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, next report is from Public Works. Mr. Peterson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet tonight is the Public Works Department report for July. There are 3 things we have in there. One is an update on the wastewater treatment plant's CIP 5 capital project, which is about the biosolids. It's recently going vertical with the steel structure, so we're excited to see that progressing. We also talk about we've deployed a couple sets of radar feedback signs on South Kelsey and 179th Avenue, where we've had some data that suggests it's high-speed zones, and so we're going to be monitoring how those signs impact the behavior of our drivers. We have other tools to get that information, so we'll let it cook for a few weeks and see what kind of data we get back from those two sets. And then the other thing is, halfway through the year, we have 6 months worth of our interactions with people calling in through calls or emails or using the Monroe Listen app. And our primary contact for dealing with those is Trevor Orr, who does an outstanding job interacting with those requests, and as well as utility locates. That's pretty much whenever someone's going to be digging underground, they call the locates company, and you can see that there's been 781 requests so far this year to go out there and mark the ground. So we're busy, and that's all I got to report.
Right. Great. Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, thanks for putting those speed limit sign radar things on Kelsey. It seems to be making a little bit of a difference. Going through there, people would go pretty fast. I think the highest I've seen going through there is 33. And thanks, I think, on social media, Insta Snapchat, Face Talk, there was some complaining about it flashing at 25 miles an hour. And you guys just took care of it. And I like how you guys do those things. The staff just takes care of it. I think it's working. I'm curious to see what the data comes back as, but thanks for putting those up. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
A question on the 780 locate tickets. Do we track our response time from, the state 48-hour type deal? What is our compliance against the state requirement on the 48-hour turnaround?
There is a state law requiring a certain turnaround. As you can imagine, it could be a quite involved locate, because it could be a 10-foot diameter circle, or they could ask for 5 blocks of locates. And so sometimes we have to work with a contractor to be reasonable, because sometimes there's not enough hours in the day to do the requests that they have. So sometimes we'll look and say, is this just a design kind of information, or is it imminent construction? But there is a I think it's a 2-day response time to get out there. So we have 2 gentlemen that do this work, and sometimes they're both out there splitting the job. But for the most part, I understand, unless the job's extremely large, where we call them back and we say, hey, this is going to take a little more time than what you're asking for. We try and meet those compliance, and we're pretty good at it.
Okay. So I would be very much interested in seeing, I know it's tracked, it has to be.
Yeah.
And then whether or not we've ever received a state complaint for lack, because you're 100% correct. Like, there's the design locates, side, and then there's the actual imminent construction piece. But I just don't want us to end up, I served on the 811 board for a while, and I don't want us to end up on where we're I just want to make sure we got appropriate resources in order to, because that number is going to stay high probably for a little bit while we're still getting, there's the normal dig stuff, but then there's just the boom of infrastructure from a telecom utilities perspective that drives a lot of that, and I don't want us to get caught.
Okay, so you were looking for response times, like average response times, or?
I just want to make sure we're compliant with the state law. That's where we can end up with, being reported to the safety council and, and all that kind of stuff. So, and even if we bucketized it, because we should, whether, the design locate is associated to just like the imminent construction, where we track that and we have the ability to prove that makes it, that makes it extremely nice. Cool. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, Councilmember Fisher.
One more quick question, and I might be the only one that doesn't know this. What's going on with all the conduit that's being laid underneath the sidewalks? I don't know if anybody else had that question or not. Is that what you were just kind of talking about?
Do you want? There's a lot of it. I know Comcast that actually just had that same walk. It was a very productive walk today, by the way, like all these. But yeah, they were putting new conduit because they do proactive measuring of their coax network, and they can detect leakage. Okay. And then they'll go through, they'll have to do locates and all that in order to get that done.
So Scott, is that what's going on around the city with all of the conduit
I think
work?
there's a very large project that goes beyond our borders. It's more like a backbone fiber that's coming through, and they're routing it through they're coming from Sultan, they're going through Monroe, then they're going to go down 522, but it's something that's, I want to say, almost like Montana. It's a big regional backbone fiber that's coming through. Okay. And it's a direct bury, horizontal directional drilling.
Yep.
So
Perfect.
that's what you see on Main Street of recent. That's what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next report is community development. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you. In your packet is the community development report for May and June. A couple of highlights. One is we're getting a lot of inquiries about ADUs, and that sort of extends from the code change that we made earlier this year to free up some of the regulations on that. So we're getting a lot of pre-apps and inquiries about that. I did want to point out one thing, an error in our report, and if anybody noticed it, you get a gold star. somebody had to point it out to me, so I don't get one. But in the project page that it lists, it's right under the Gold's Gym, sort of that, there's a project's called the Gilman Montessori School, and the description in there is for the Gold's Gym, but the Montessori School is actually going in where the Pharmasave used to be, and I think that building has been vacant for
a bit.
3 years probably. It's been a while. So they did go through a public hearing, and that did get approved. So I'm not exactly sure what their opening date will be, but they've been working on that for a while. So that building will be occupied. And that's all I've got. If anybody has any questions.
Any questions? Councilmember Walker.
Was that the same, was the owner of that gym the same person that came in today to speak?
No.
Okay.
The description in there was for the Gold's Gym. It got repeated twice. So the Gold's Gym project is right above that one.
Okay, got it. So when you said that everything's approved, you're talking about Gold's
I'm
Gym?
talking about the Montessori School.
Okay, got it.
Yes, in the Pharmasave. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the extended agenda. Mr. Wortham?
We're taking a break until 9:15.
Yeah.
Then we will have our finance and HR meeting, preliminary budget, revenue assumptions, and preliminary financial projections. It will be a Julie night for the finance and HR meeting. We'll start at 6. And then at 7, our regular council meeting, we will have a consent agenda, new business with a 25-26 comp plan amendment, introduction by Amy Wright, 6-year utility rate model and system development charges study, again by Julie, and department reports, and that's about it. And then please note, City Council will be in recess for the month of August. The next regular scheduled meeting is on Tuesday, September 15th.
Okay. Any questions on that, Council? All right. The next is the administrative report. Mr. Wortham.
This is the stuff Jody wants to make sure that I assign everyone and get back. Last week we left the auditor information form. I think most folks turned those back in. If you weren't here last week, it should have been back in your spot for you to fill out. Get that back to Jody. Also the Fair Days Parade RSVP. If you haven't turned those in, please give those to Jody. And then 9/11 Memorial. Surfer will be doing a memorial at 8:30 a.m. right out front, and the council and the mayor are invited. And there is also a sheet, I believe. And we just need that little section back if you plan to attend. So it begins at 8:30. They anticipate being all wrapped up by about 9:30. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions for him? No? Okay. Next is mayor's report. So in the packet, there are 2 proclamations. One is National Night Out, which is coming up on August 4th. And I want to thank Councilmember Fulcher. She is stepping up and making comments and representing the city. So thank you. I will be out of town, and Mayor Pro Tem will be out of town. So thank you for that. And then the next proclamation is recognizing Monroe Fair Day. So 2 very important things happening in our community in the month of August. Music in the Park is Friday. I believe this is the last one, so I'm going to go. Is it Hair Nation? Oh, they are so awesome. So I am excited to go to the last one, Hair Nation, if anyone wants to join me. And then just looking forward to August, as people have mentioned. It's a great month in Monroe, and I hope to see a lot of you at the parade and at the parade dinner and at National Night Out. I won't be there, but thanks for representing. And that is it for me. Any questions? Awesome. Okay, there is a need for executive session this evening. In addition to potential legal risk as listed on the agenda, we also need to convene and to discuss pricing of property. As such, the City Council will convene in an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation, legal risk pursuant to RCW 4230-110, subset 1, subset I, and the pricing of property for sale or lease pursuant to RCW 4230-110, subset 1, subset C. The executive session is scheduled for 10 minutes. The regular meeting will convene after the executive session ends at 9:19.
The clerk will announce extensions, if any. There may be action taken after the meeting is reconvened, if only to adjourn the meeting. So, executive session.
The executive session has been extended 10 minutes. The executive session has been extended 5 minutes. The executive session has been extended an additional 5 minutes.
Okay. There being no further business and no objections, the meeting will be adjourned. Hearing no objection, the meeting is now adjourned. Adjourned.